Today we're talking about what is chain of thought in the context of AI, and I'm making this video specifically for marketers, entrepreneurs, and busy business owners who are scaling and want to scale with AI. And particularly, even if you have heard of the term chain of thought, I'm going to break it down for you possibly better than anyone that you've ever heard before, so that it's not some esoteric term, but rather it's something that is just easy to understand, and most importantly, how to apply it in the context of taking action with AI, guiding the AI to give you higher quality outputs that are going to help you to write better content, better copy, have better logical reasoning, better strategy, just better outputs overall that help you to make better decisions and have better overall quality of marketing outputs and deliverables for your business. My name is Matt. I am the founder and CEO of Grobo.com, and we are launching real-time our AI agents platform at the time of the recording of this video. So at the end, if you'd like to learn more, go to Grobo.com. So AI is something that I work with every single day, and I've been studying for a long period of time. I've also built neural networks from scratch. So I'm not just an entrepreneur and a marketer, but also a computer engineer who works with AI and literally building it from scratch. So I think I'm able to offer a unique kind of synthesized perspective that many others are not able to offer. And when I say I've made AI from scratch, I haven't, you can go and buy a course right now on Udemy for like $10 or whatever, and they'll say, oh, let's make some AI, and they'll give you 10 lines of code that you can copy and paste. And it's like, congratulations, you made your first neural network. No, I have not done that. I have built literally with no frameworks, just because I really wanted to get a deep understanding of how AI works at a fundamental ground level. So that's a bit of background on me. In addition, the company Grobo, formerly known as AutoGrow, founded in 2010. We've served thousands of clients. We became a seven-figure business for the first time in 2021. And we're continuing to grow and learn every day and sharing all the interesting lessons with you here on the channel, including as we've rebranded and we're launching our AI platform right now. So I'm excited to share the journey with you. With that being said, let's get into the question of today. What is chain of thought, and what is the value in terms of how you can apply this for the benefit of your business, your operations, your marketing, and working with AI and integrating AI into your business? I was looking around for some decent videos on this. I think I can probably give you the best information, kind of like putting what other people are kind of saying and where is the consensus in terms of how you define this thing, and then giving you my filter on it. So let's start with one of these videos.
No more black box chatbot replies. Chain of thought prompting makes AI show its work. Chain of thought prompting, or COT, is a form of prompt engineering.
So first off, it says chain of thought makes AI show its work. That's not really going to tell you what it is so much. Showing its work, that's really not what is happening with chain of thought. Let's keep going though.
That emphasizes the step-by-step process of solving
Accurate.
problems. Rather than inputting simple questions, this technique prompts a large language model to reveal its chain of thought,
Not revealing
or
it.
the rational steps taken to arrive at a final answer. In simple terms, COT makes an LLM show its work.
Okay, this is false. It's not making it show its work. It's more like it's making it, you're kind of making the AI think out loud and think step by step, so that it's able to sort of build up this logical foundation where, there's no cracks, right? Or there's less likely to be any cracks where then it, forms the wrong conclusion, because it says, okay, if A is A, or if A is 1 and B is 2, A plus B is 3, right? Versus just trying to single shot or just without the line of reasoning, and this is why they call it chain of thought. It's thinking step by step. you know, the reason why making it show its work is just a kind of false description or premise of what chain of thought is that's not what's happening, because that implies that somehow the AI is whatever its conclusion otherwise would be without chain of thought is the same with or without chain of thought. It's just like in one case you're making it show its work. I think that's a confusing explanation. Let's listen for another second and see what she says.
Here, we'll discuss different types of COT prompting and how they work. For a detailed overview of different prompt engineering tools, click the link above or in the description below. The COT technique is not as simple as telling an LLM to show its work. In fact, it requires a user to input logical problem-solving examples in addition to the question they are asking. This way, the LLM can arrive at a final answer by mimicking the logic you used. For example, let's say you're trying to solve a multi-step math problem. You would first establish...
Okay, again, this is not accurate in my understanding, and having used this, she's kind of mixing the definitions of, because there's this concept, which maybe I'll make a separate video on, called like multi-shot, single shot, and zero shot. And what that means is that like when you are prompting, aka when you're talking to an LLM, you know, a chatbot like ChatGPT, any sort of chat AI, you can include no examples. This would be zero shot. You just say, here's the problem, solve it. Single shot, where you give an example, like one example, okay, here's a very similar problem, and here's the output answer. And then here's the next problem. And then it will, you know, take that kind of single example, single shot, and model that in terms of its output. You can make the argument that that is, because it is again, like it's next word prediction. It's technically next token prediction in terms of how these AI models work, but think of it as next word prediction. It's sort of like looking back at, you know, the previous context to guess what is that next word that the chat AI has to actually generate. So this assumes what she's saying, if you do single shot, that you're going to do it in a way that models, you're a little bit strong arming the AI into thinking in a sort of fixed step-by-step manner. And we'll see another example of that coming up.
Logical thought process by inputting 2 plus 3 equals 5. Add 3 and you get 8. Subtract 2 and you have 6. In the same prompt, you would then say, solve the following problem. 3 plus 7 minus 2 plus 5 in the same way. From there, the output displays not only the final answer of 13, but the steps it took to arrive there. There are different types of COT prompting: multimodal, least to most, and zero shot.
Okay, let's move on to another example. Here, I think this one is actually much better. So he's going to get into the example like pretty much immediately as I hit play here.
You will see that clearly now when we move on to our example. So for our first example, we are actually going to just stay on ChatGPT 3.5 because I think you can even see it better here how this chain of thought works. So maybe you have seen this problem on my channel before, but let's have a look at it. Michael is a 31-year-old man from America. He's at that really famous museum in France looking at its most famous painting. However, the artist who made this painting just makes Michael think of his favorite cartoon character from his childhood. What was the country of origin of the thing that this cartoon character usually hold in his hands?
Okay, so this is a really great example because in this example, we as humans, we have to, because regardless of how the AI thinks, we know that from looking at this problem, we have to think step by step to sort of solve it, right? So, okay, so Michael is in a museum in France looking at its most famous painting. It's like, okay, so what is that? However, the artist's name reminds him of the cartoon character from his childhood. Okay, so first it's, what's the most famous painting in France? Okay, that is the Mona Lisa. And then it's, okay, well, who is the artist then? Well, the artist is Leonardo da Vinci. And then well, then who is the cartoon character who Leonardo da Vinci reminded Michael of? Well, most likely it's, Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles, right? Shout out Ninja Turtles. And then, well, what does Leonardo actually hold in his hand? Okay. Then you get the answer to that. And then, okay, what country is this this item from that he holds in his hand? Okay, well, it's from Japan. And so Japan would be the final answer, but we have to think step by step, kind of breaking it down into individual problems. So you can see that for us to solve it, we ourselves have to actually practice chain of thought. That's why this is particularly a good example.
So this is a kind of problem that we just can't go to at the last sentence here, right? And just say, it has to be that, because we have no way of knowing that, because we have to solve this problem like step by step or in a chain of thought. So this is a perfect demonstration. Like if we try to solve this with ChatGPT now. So I tried 5 times there and I wasn't even close to solving this. So what we have to do is think a bit different, and I'm going to show you the prompt I'm going to use so we can actually have a chance of solving this. So here you can see we have the same problem, right? But here I go without solving the problem just yet. Think through this carefully and list systematically and in detail all the problems in the riddle that needs to be solved before we can arrive at the correct answer. Okay, so that's a good start, right? I think this kind of shows how we want to break.
And this starts to get into, okay, how can you actually put chain of thought into practice when you are working with different AI models? Like, obviously, the most well-known one would be ChatGPT, but just AI in general, or any AI specifically, we should define it as any AI that is a large language model, at least at this time. So in particular, what is the practical, tactical approach he's taking here? He's saying without solving the problem just yet. So he's directing the AI on how we want it to answer. Without solving the problem just yet, think through this carefully and list systematically and in detail all of the problems in the riddle that need to be solved before we can arrive at the correct answer. All right, so he's directly instructing it, don't just jump to the answer, but I want you to kind of start to build this logical foundation. So you kind of you're kind of like unpacking the formula and you're kind of adding up all the variables, and then you can see, oh, okay, clearly it equals, 5 or 3, or, to use numbers as an example. And again, why do this? What is the benefit to doing this? Well, lots of research out there. This concept really is still relatively new. I mean, LLM AI tech is itself less than 2 years old in terms of when ChatGPT actually came on the scene. LLMs have been around for longer than that. And here's a chain of thought. I believe the concept only came about in 2023. For example, the benefit to using chain of thought, according to one study, or multiple studies, have shown that chain of thought prompting can more than double the accuracy of models like GPT-3 and PaLM. That's a model from Google, on complex benchmarks such as, GSM 8K. Specifically, it increased performance from around 20 to 30% to over 60% for these tasks. Common sense reasoning went up by a little bit on common sense QA and strategy. These are the names of like different kind of public benchmarks that different AI companies and are kind of like testing their AI models against. Why do we have these kind of public benchmarks? Well, it helps different companies to really kind of evaluate how good is their model relative to other models in terms of intelligence and ability and whatnot. Increased by about 5 to 6% on the strategy QA, and achieved a score higher than humans actually on sports understanding. In terms of general performance, overall performance improvements across various tasks, the use of chain of thought prompting generally leads to performance improvements ranging from 15% to over 50%, depending on the complexity of the task and the specific model used. For instance, in the domain of factual Q&A and logical reasoning, chain of thought prompted models showed substantial gains in accuracy and logical correctness compared to standard prompts. And it's citing 2 different white papers here. And I can tell you from experience too, I absolutely agree with these numbers. This is not just, some numbers in a lab and some controlled sort of tests, although yes, that's how they do these experiments and they collect this data, is that they do have, controls in place. But in real world, from using chain of thought, I can tell you that it absolutely does work to lead to significant improvements in terms of overall performance. And I also asked for some more up-to-date stats as well, related to more advanced models, since GPT-3 was mentioned. So in doing the research here, was able to see that, okay, perhaps a little more of a modest improvement, but it really depends on the case. I mean, a 5% improvement is sometimes a lot more substantial than, because like maybe the model by itself is already outputting a higher quality output, whether it's copy or content, for example, how many people are using AI today. But more and more, I believe we will be using AI, to help us with strategy and operations in our businesses. This is part of the marketing of why we're building Robo, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. But a 5% difference can really mean the difference between sort of copy or content that an AI, that you can clearly tell was written by an AI because it sounds hypey. There's maybe a lot of exclamation marks or something like this. It's the difference between that and something that is persuasive, and you can't easily tell that this was written by an AI. So that is really a significant improvement. So don't think that, okay, 5% is like not a lot. In other cases, it's 21%, also scoring well on some of these other benchmarks and data sets. So you get the general idea. And let's just finish out this example to see how it progresses.
To a list. So you can clearly see here that ChatGPT gives me this list here. So we need to identify Michael's location. What kind of museum is that?
So again, breaking it down step by step, into like what's the first problem, second, third. And so it's going to go through these different problems, and he's kind of directing it to, think about it, make a conclusion based on whatever you think is most probable, highest probability.
100% sure about something, then humans also just default to thinking like it has to be that. Sometimes when you're not 100% sure, you just want to give an answer that is.
And part of the reason he does this, and I agree with this, because you can direct the LLM, the AI, to just, well, there's maybe not one definite answer, but go with what is the highest probability, what you believe is the highest probability. Or if, for example, this might be some sort of a thought algorithm that I might use, like if you are not above 95% confidence on X, Y, or Z, then do this. So that's kind of where that highest probability wording is coming from and the benefit to it.
Highest probability. So here you can see the highest probability is that Michael is visiting the Louvre Museum in France. So the probability answer for problem 1 is that Michael is at the Louvre Museum in France. Okay, good. Solve problem.
Another example of tactically how to use highest probability is, for example, if you're using chain of thought with writing having an AI model like help you to write a high quality headline or blog article title. You can have it write 10 examples, and then you say, okay, now I want you to evaluate, the pros and cons of each. Okay, now based on the pros and cons, I want you to assign a probability of success to each of the titles. Okay, so again, it's looking back at what it previously thought or said in order to come up with that number of highest probability. And it's like, okay, well now select whatever the top number 1 or number 1 and 2, and then let's, go from there to pick maybe the number 1, or if you're A/B testing, pick both.
2, that's going to be identifying the most famous painting. So therefore, the most famous painting in the riddle is Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. Louvre, we have the painting, Mona Lisa. See it now.
And if we fast forward, you can see how after going through answering each of sort of the mini problems to solve the overall problem, it comes to the conclusion. The character was Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Shout out Ninja Turtles. And he's using katanas in his hand, which are from Japan. And that's the answer to the question. I think this was another decent example of chain of thought, but it's using that single shot approach where you'll give a question. And by the way, this person who recorded this video, he is a developer. So if you're not familiar with the word concatenate, it's not a very commonly used word, but concatenate just means, often used in programming, means to kind of bring together, letters or variables. So this example that is being given to the AI, take the last letters of the words in Lady Gaga and concatenate them. So what are the last letters? Y and A. Okay, concatenate them. The answer should be Y and A. And so there you go. But the example he shows how he kind of like builds up the logical foundation so that the AI is going to imitate this in its answer. The last letter of lady is Y. Because again, like the AI, the LLM, it can think backwards. And that's how you want to think about it. So chain of thought, it's almost like a literal thought. It's almost like these AI models are, what you are reading from them is like almost like could be thought of as like their raw thoughts. And it's pretty smart for just outputting like raw thoughts when you think about it compared to humans, right? Because if our raw thoughts were just out there, for writing an article, we would not be writing as well, most likely, as something like ChatGPT. Our stream of consciousness is just probably a mess. At least, the way that I think is like I'm very iterative in terms of how I would approach writing, some sort of a coherent or persuasive piece of content or copy. I would maybe write it down and then backspace and then rewrite it, change a word, maybe write a few variations of it, delete them, rewrite it. But the AI is just outputting this in, one, input, output. Right? Just one go. When you keep that in mind, that it's almost like the order of the words, because that it can still, each time it's outputting the word lady or the word is, it's able to kind of like still, before it outputs is, it's looking back at the previous text, right? And so it's able to better predict the last letter of the word lady is Y. The last letter of Gaga is A. Right?
So I'm saying la is A, concat YA, so the answer is actual question.
And then here's the question. Take the last letters of the words New Delhi and concatenate them. Okay, so it'd be W and I. And you can see how it's just going to model it. But again, it's going to do it in this format, which again takes advantage of the overall design and architecture of how the LLM itself thinks, where it's not able to think. And this is why if you ask it, tell me what is, the last letter in at the end of the next sentence that you're going to write, or how many letters are in the next sentence that you're going to write, it usually will fail at being able to do this. Why? Because in part it's thinking out loud. It's the way that we do it, we can do that because we can think about the sentence first. The last letter in the next word I'm about to say is going to be H. Had some sushi recently, so I guess I'm thinking of fish. Actually, I had fish last night. I had salmon. But yeah, so I had to think of the word fish first before I said the word fish and knew that it would be H. Finally, to wrap up, here's one more video. You can go and check this out in more detail if you're interested. But the thing I want to show you here was just the significant visual difference, as you can see it here, in terms of chain of thought prompting applied to these AI models versus just standard prompting, which is like, okay, here's the problem. Can you give me the solution? And the performance, although in this paper, this is one of the original white papers on the subject. So even though the performance based on how large the model actually is does tend to go up in terms of its, without chain of thought, the performance is just so much more accurate and overall better using chain of thought. And to relate this to what we are building and how we're designing the Grobo platform. So Grobo is an AI agents platform, helps you to automate your internal marketing and operations. A really big aspect of how we designed Grobo was to take advantage of this concept of chain of thought. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, as you know now, chain of thought helps you to get higher quality overall outputs. But also, chain of thought and structuring it this way, so in this example, what we call a grow flow. So a grow flow is just like a project or workflow within the Growbo platform. You can see how we apply chain of thought in a case like here. So, okay, so first we are thinking of post ideas for LinkedIn here in this grow flow, but then we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to revise it. The overall output is going to conform more with whatever our brand preference is, because we're able to guide it. We're able to help it, you know, kind of first like, okay, did you apply this best practice? And almost like a checklist, right? But it's able to reflect and refine at each step as it goes forward. So not only is the overall quality of the output going to be higher, but it's going to be tailored and customized to my brand, or in your case, when you sign up for Growbo. If you sign up, I recommend it. We're launching it right now in real time, getting it out there. It's an amazing platform. I'm so excited to bring it to market and offer it to you and other customers. You can sign up and try it for $1 for your first week. At the actual time of this video, we are launching it real time. So we had some early access customers who signed up. We're giving them access first. But if you go ahead and sign up now, you know, we will get you access within a matter of days. Like, we are about a little less than a week away from launching at the time of this video. So again, you can kind of see here the logic of that, the benefit for, you know, branding and customization in terms of like your understanding of your market, in terms of what people want to hear, in terms of what you know works best. Like for me, I'm very particular about how I write content, you know, that represents our brand. So if I'm using AI, I want it to follow what we know works, especially if I'm going to actually put, you know, my name on it. The other thing that's really important too with this sort of structure is you can still have human in the loop, which also was why I and the team, we designed it this way. So you could have human in the loop, because AI is not perfect and you want to be, you know, quality checking usually at the end anyway. And you can see here how that works. So you can, you know, change the instructions. You can add additional steps, saying like whatever, apply your checklist or do something else. And yeah, so that's an example of chain of thought in action. That being said, check out growbo.com, and also let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube or on our website. What do you think? What do you think of this video? Did you get value from it? And of course, if you share this video, if you share this content with others, that's one of the biggest compliments that you can pay. It helps to encourage me and the team to continue getting better and making more and more content like this for your benefit. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. Keep growing and stay focused.